So today we're talking air volume spacers. A lot of modern suspension nowadays, forks and shocks, are actually really easily tweakable by the average home mechanic by changing these spacers. What that does is if you put a bigger air volume spacer in there, it's going to make that fork or shock more progressive. I really like that because I quite like my fork to be really progressive so that when I'm hitting big berms, things like that, I'm not sinking all the way into that travel. I'm actually staying up a little bit higher. So let's have a look at how you actually change those. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is take the air out of this fork. That's really important, don't forget to do that. If you don't do that and start winding this cap off, it could explode in your face. So before you let the air out of that fork, make a note of that because we want to pump it back up to the same pressure after. We don't want to be messing around with that. We're actually looking at changing the characteristic of the fork with the air spacer and not the pressure of the air. So I've let the air out, now you want to unscrew this. I've got a 32mm socket here. It's got a chamfered edge on it. You've got to be a bit careful because there's not a lot showing there, not a lot of edge there. So be really careful, put a bit of pressure on top of that socket as you're doing it. So I've got a 7.6cc spacer on there. You find if you're a really aggressive rider, you can start going up, putting another one of those on, or actually on these Fox forks, you've got an orange one, which is 10.8cc. So you can stick as many as you like on there, obviously that fit, but for the most aggressive riders, 2 blue is probably about right, but you can tweak that yourself. It's really easy to do. Stick one on, try it out, start playing around with different volumes in there. On this Fox 36, I need to just take this little O-ring off that there. And then if you line that slot up with this head of the screw, that'll just slide off. As easy as that. So I'm going to put an extra blue spacer on there because I like my fork to be nice and progressive on those really big hits. So if you're an aggressive rider, that might work well for you. If you like a more comfortable ride, then one blue might be enough for you. Don't forget to put your little rubber O-ring on after you've put the spacer on. And now it's time to reassemble. There are other size spacers. This orange one is 10.8cc, so if you want to go even more progressive, you can start playing around with the blue and an orange, or even 2 orange, but that's pretty full on. To reassemble, you need to slot that into the hole in the bottom, so it might be easy if you just pull the fork up a little bit so I can actually look inside, see the hole, slide it in and just wind that top cap back into that fork. Using your 32mm socket, tighten that top cap assembly, put a bit of pressure on that socket, be careful and just give that a little bit of torque, don't go crazy with that. So I'm using Fox's really nice little nifty digital pump and I'm pumping that back up to 60 psi, which I had in earlier. Dust cap back on and then I'm ready to roll. Try it out on the trail, see how I like it. If I don't like it, it's an easy thing to go back to what I had in there before. So nice little thing to play around with. So there we go. Put some more volume space in that fork to make it more progressive. If you want to see any more of our videos, you can click up here for suspension setup explained with me, or click down here for our top 10 mountain bike innovations. Or you can click on me and my new tweaked fork if you want to subscribe to GMBM.